Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be doing lesson 5.5. You're going to be on page 179, and you're going to be doing use properties to multiply by 8. Use properties to multiply by 8. How are they the same and how are they different? So look at these blocks. How are they the same and how are they different? Hopefully you realize that this is an array. 1, 2, so there's 2 on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 on this side. And there's still 8 on the side because they're the same all the way down. So there's 8 here. There's 8 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 there. So to find the area of this array, you would do 8 times 2. To find the area of this array, you would do 8 times 4. And if you were doing the area of this array, you would do 8 times 8. So one of the factors is always 8. Let's flip the page and see what we're learning today. Alright. A gardener plants 8 rows of 6 sunflowers. So we have 8 rows of 6 sunflowers. So here's 1 row of 6, here's 2 rows of 6, here's 3 rows of 6. How can you find the total number of sunflowers he planted? Well, we already know that we could do 8 times 6 to get to our answer. But we're going to be decomposing a factor to be able to get there quicker. So if this is 6 and this is 8, they decomposed it to break it down on one factor to 4 times 6 and 4 times 6. Because 4 times 6 is 24, and then we can double 24 to get to 48. So 6 times 8 is 48. Now over here, you can use a 5's fact and a 3's fact to determine the product of 8 times 6. So look here. They took out the 5 first from the 8, and then you have 3 left over. So on the array you would have 3 times 6 and 5 times 6. You get 30 and 18, and you add those partial products together to get to your product of 48. Alright, so let's look. Right here it says you can decompose, that's one of our math words, underline it, decompose 8's facts in different ways. Double, that's an important word, isn't it? Double the product. Product is the answer to a multiplication problem of a 4's fact to find a product of 8. So a product of 8. So that means an answer of 8 if 8 is multiplied times something. You can use 5 facts to recall 8 facts. So you can break that 8's facts down to 5 and 3, and that helps you to do it. Now remember, when we break it apart, we're decomposing it. So let's look at the work together, and we're going to make sense of this. What multiplication fact can help you find the product of 7 times 8, and how can you use them? So let's reread this. What multiplication facts, so you're looking for the multiplication facts, can help you find the product, so we're looking for the answer of a multiplication problem, of 7 times 8, and how can you use them? Alright, so it's wanting us to say 7 times 8, how can we break that part to be able to find it? So if I keep 7 the same, and I break my 8 apart, I can break it into 5 plus, and I always put parentheses around it, so I know what I'm working with, 7 times 3, right? because we decompose that 8 to be a 5 and a 3. So we decompose that factor. Now if we do 7 times 5, we get 35. That's one of our partial products because it's part of a product. Then we have 7 times 3, which is 21. Then we have 35 plus 21, which is 56. So our product for that one will be 56. Did we break it apart? We did. Let's break it apart a different way. Let's do 7 times 8. We're going to break 8 apart. We're going to say 7 times 4 plus 7 times 4, because we broke that 8 down twice, and 4 plus 4. We kept one factor the same. And then we have 28 on one side, one partial product, then 28 on the other side, which is the other partial product, and we add those two together, we're going to get 56 again. So how can you use them? This is our how, because we broke it up into doubles, and we broke it up into the 5's facts. Alright, let's move over here and see what we've got to do today. Number 1, and guys, we just went to the next page, it's 181. Alright. The array represents 3 times 4. How can you use it to find the product of 3 times 8? Draw to show your work. So if I have 4 and 3, the array represents 3 times 4. So they've already drawn this. How can you use this to find the product of 3 times 8? So if this is 3 times 4, and we need 3 times 8, what do we need to do? Well, if I extend the array one more out, now I've got 3 times 5. But I need 3 times 8, don't I? Three times 6, 3 times 7, 3 times 8. Guys, if you can't draw the stars very well, you can put dots there to make your array. So we can do that. We can see that we had to double 3 times 4, didn't we? So we could do 3 times 4 plus another 3 times 4 to get to our answer, and we know that it's 12 plus 12 to give us the product of that 24. So that's exactly how we should do number 1. Oh, look down here. It's even got 3 times 8. 3 times 8, we just worked it out, is 24. I need to make sure to fill that in. Alright. Jonathan placed cubes in 8 rows with 6 cubes in each row. How can you decompose a factor to find the number of cubes he placed? So I read it once. I'm going to read it again. Jonathan placed cubes in 8 rows with 6 cubes in each row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 cubes in 1 row. How can you decompose the factor to find the number of cubes he placed? So if that's 1 row, better make sure to draw your cubes small because we got to go down 8 rows. That's 2 rows. It's 3 rows. And this is 4 rows. Ooh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit it. 5, 6, nope, I'm not going to be able to fit it. But I need to go down. I know this needs to be doubled. So I'm going to write double over here. Because this is helping me make sense out of it. So if I know this is doubled, that means that I know this is going to be 4 times 6 plus another 4 times 6 because I've got to double it. And did we decompose 8 times 6 to 4 times 6 to 4 and 4 times 6? We sure did. So this is how we would do it. He didn't ask us to find the answer, did he? Let's read it again to make sure. How can you decompose a factor to find the number of cubes he placed? So we decomposed 8 times 6. 8 times 6 into 4 and 4. And so we would double that. I'm going to go ahead and answer it. So then it would be 24 plus 24 is our partial products, and our product would be 48. And remember, if we don't put our unit behind it, we're wrong. So it's cubes. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about cubes. 3. How can you find the products of 1 times 8 and 8 times 1 without decomposing? This question's almost so simple that it hurts, doesn't it? Because we know it's the product of 1. It's the product of 1. Anything times 1 is the other thing. So I'm not even going to write. You're going to write there because you should be able to write that. Write and give examples for your thinking. All right, so let's look at the bottom here. How can you use 2's and 4's facts to complete the 8 facts? So 2 times 3, that means we double 3, which is 6. 4 times 3, well, 4 times 3 is 2 times 3 twice, right? So that's that twice. So if I doubled my 4, then I'm going to have to double my product, which is 12. And then if I'm doing 8 times 3, that means I doubled 4. Because look at this, so that means I need to double my product, which is 24. So let's look at 2's. I have to double my 4, which is 8. And then if I doubled my multiplication equation from before that, I might have to double my answer, which is 16. And then if I doubled it again, because see, my factor keeps doubling. And if I double it again, then that's going to be 32. Alright, we know that's 10. We know that's 20. We're doubling it. And we know that's 40. We're doubling it each time. This factor is doubling each time from the one before it. That's how we can get to the answers so quickly. Alright, I'm flipping the page over. We're on page 182. On number 7. It's awful wiggly today, my little camera. Complete each step to find the product of 8 times 9 using the 5's facts and the 3's facts. So, what is 5 times 9? It's 45. Okay. And then if we're doing 8 times 9, and we've used 5, that means we need 3 more, and then we use 27, which is one part of the product. Then we need to use the other part of the product, which is 45, and then you add your partial products together, which is 27, 45, and I'm going to come over here and do it. 27, because they didn't give me a lot of room, plus 45. Well, if I add 20 plus 40, I get 60. And then if I add 7 plus 5, I get 12. And then if I add my partial sums together, I get 2 and I get 7. And it's a sum because I'm adding right now. So 72 is my answer. Alright, go ahead and look at number 8. Tobias says that he can find the product, there's a math word, of 4 times 8 by decomposing, there's another math word, either of the factors, there's another math word, into equal parts. Do you agree or disagree? And explain. Alright, so I read it once, now I'm going to have to read it again. Tobias says that he can find the product of 4 times 8. So he wants to find the answer, because that's the product, right? So I'm going to put P here for product. By decomposing either factors into equal parts. Do you agree? Okay, so it doesn't say both. This is the key word. It says either. So if I break this number down to 2 times 8 plus 2 times 8, is that going to be the same thing as when it comes to the answer, when it comes to the product of 4 times, wait, let's rewrite 4 times 8 first, and then 4 times 4 plus 4 times 4. Is it going to be the same thing? Well, this is 16 plus 16, so it's going to be 32. This is 16 plus 16, which is going to be 32. So right here's my explanation. In math, this can be my explanation. And do you agree or disagree? I agree because they both have 32 as a product. Alright, let's move on down. How can you complete the equation? So I've got 3 times 8 is 24. 6 times 8, 48. 8 times 4, 32. 7 times 8, 56. 80, 64. That equal sign means balanced. Balanced. It's got to be balanced. Whatever's on this side has to be on this side. It means it has to be equal on both sides. It has to be balanced. 15. Extend your thinking. Each player in the game has 8 tokens. There are 7 players in each game. How can you decompose in 2 different ways to find the total number of tokens? Alright, so each player in the game has 8 tokens. So if this player is in the game, he has 8 tokens. And then this player, he's going to have another 8 tokens. And we've got to do that for 7 players. So we need 7 players. So we know that's going to be 7 times 8. Now we've got to decompose this. Decompose means to break apart in 2 different ways. So if I break this apart, there's way more than 2 different ways, because I can break 7 apart too, couldn't I? So you could do 7 times 5 plus 7 times 3. Alright, there's one way, and you get 35 plus 21, which equals 56. 56 tokens. That's one way. I can do 7 times 8. I can break that down to 7 times 4 plus 7 times 4. That's 28 and 28. We're adding those together and we get 56 tokens. That's 2 different ways. Now I could decompose the 7 too. I can have the 7 be 2 times 8 and then 5 times 8. I could do that way too. There's not really another good way to break 7 down, because you can't break him exactly in half, can you? You could do 7 times 3 and 7 times 4 if you're very fluent with them, but it's not really the best strategy to use. Let's reflect. How can you use the different properties of multiplication to recall the 8 facts? Make sure when you're writing in here, you're just talking about how you can decompose, use that word decompose, 8 into 4 and 4 or 3 and 5. So make sure you reflect. After you get this done, you're going to tear out. Let me zoom the camera back out here. Alright. Just all kind of wobble around. You're going to tear out lesson 5.5 and all the way to where we just finished. Grab it, pull it at an angle. Alright, this is going to be stapled to your work plan. So you'll get your work plan and you'll use the stapler. Only put one staple up in the corner, guys. I don't need a bunch of staples. If you've already stapled it once, keep it in the same corner that you're stapling.